Welcome everybody to this month's Eventprofs Dublin Meetup. And so this evening we've got two fantastic speakers. I'd like to introduce you to Kim Mackenzie-Doyle. So Kim has got a huge amount of experience in product design and marketing.
My story is very much linked to Mind Over Matters, so you're going to learn a little bit about me tonight as well. My conversation starts with my girls, and I am a very proud mother of two leopards. And when I became a mother, I became a better human being and a better designer. It's quite a strange experience giving birth, and then you have that responsibility for this human being. And I think my first thought when my oldest was born was get back in there, because then you could control their immediate surroundings. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So I really felt this huge responsibility to try and make their world a better place. So my first job was the family remote control, and this was before products like this existed. So I'm a designer by nature. I'm in product development and product design, and my first paid job, because I used to get pocket money back in the day, was to run up and down to the TV and change channels. And when this guy came in, I was completely bemused. I was absolutely devastated because I lost my job. I was jobless. And I couldn't understand how this product was communicating with the TV and basically made me redundant. So I took it apart. And back then you couldn't buy replacements, so I got in a lot of trouble. But I really wanted to understand how things worked, how things communicated, and so that was my first experience in design. It's called reverse engineering. So I told my father I wanted to be a designer, and he said, no, don't do it. There's no money in design, go be a scientist. So I was devastated. And just to give you a little bit of context about this picture, my father is a philosopher forester. Now, it sounds very strange, but that's a whole different presentation. And our dog here is a rescue dog called Rua, and she thought fox dung was Chanel No. 5. So that was his experience in that image. So this is me studying science. Did not go well. I dropped out after 3 months, and my parents financially cut me off, which was the best thing they ever did for me, because I had 3 jobs through college, and it made me really dedicated into what I wanted to do, which was to become a designer. And then in 2016, I read an article that stated creatives were 25% more likely to suffer a mental health issue in their lifetime. And this was a mic drop moment for me. I was the first female hired in the design agency, and it was the largest product design agency in Ireland. And obviously my peers were male, and I knew they had issues, and nobody was talking about it. And it rang true for me as well. My grandfather here in the middle took his own life, and we only talked about it as a family when I was about 19, and because we just knew that Grandpa died. So it's prevalent in every family, and especially in Ireland. And my dad as well suffers from depression, and we only talked about it in a family in 2016, and that's pretty shocking. And probably his hardest year was my Leaving Cert year, and I felt so guilty I didn't have the capability of trying to make it better. But now I think we can. And just something that my dad said in 2016 when I told him about this idea, I said, are you okay if we share your story? And he said, only if you say the most intelligent people in the world experience mental health issues. So I think he's right. So again, in Ireland, it's 1 in 10 people suffer just from depression, not even a mental health issue. And 1 in 4 may suffer a mental health issue in their lifetime. This is really scary data that's coming out at the moment. So we wanted to reach out to our creative community. I'm formerly president of the Institute of Designers Ireland, and we used our membership base, and we reached out to them, and we asked them would they be comfortable about talking about their experiences. We really wanted to reduce the stigma around mental health. We got 43 replies to that invitation, and 7 people confirmed. So a little bit of funding landed on our lap, the stars open and we're like, yay. And we wanted to produce a little film. And on D-Day, 4 turned up. And this is it.
You invest so much of yourself into your work. Kind of the work you do is almost kind of a representation of you. And so it can be quite exhausting.
Depression is heavy. It's a disconnect between your brain and your body. It's like a balloon floating away, your mind just floating higher and higher into the universe, and you're looking down on yourself. And all the while, your shoulders are getting heavier.
I feel like there would be a lot of people that are going through stuff mentally but are afraid to say anything. A lot of people don't want to feel like they're, I don't know, for lack of a better term, weak.
I had 2 weeks of constant panic attacks and not sleeping properly. Waking up in the morning, rocking, I felt so flat and I realised I wasn't engaging with the world. So I went to see my GP, saying to someone I needed help actually took such a burden off my shoulders of just saying, I can't do this on my own.
So that was great, and we sent, we shared it on social media, but we really felt that wasn't enough, because I think designers have this incredible power, and we knew there was a lot of people that wanted to make a difference and they didn't have a platform. So we wanted to create a platform that enabled designers to give back, and this is what Mind Over Matter is going to be. So I'm going to explain what it is. So it's a National Day of Creativity in Ireland, and it took place on World Mental Health Day this year. We're in our 2nd year. We had 9 events all over Ireland, and if you think I can't count, that's because there's 3 in Dublin. So just under 200 top creative professionals donated 1,500 hours of their time to consult with businesses on how design could add value to their product, project, company, platform, anything. And every different type of designer discipline donated their time. When I say top, we had a strict criteria. They had to have 5 years experience, industry client-facing experience. They had to have, we had to see their portfolio. The design community Ireland's pretty small, so we knew most of them as well, because they were ambassadors for design. It might be the company's first experience with design. So we really, I don't want to say interrogated, but we did background checks on everybody that took place or took part. So how it works, so each consultation hour, a business would book a designer at €75, 100% of that went to Aware. And then again, yeah, I said all of that. So what we wanted to do is partner with the experts. We weren't experts on mental health awareness or mental health issues, but we were experts on design. So we used that time to enable the mental health experts do their job. So design works, it's not aesthetic. It's about how things function. Problem solving, you pick a problem, put a designer on it, and I guarantee you it will be resolved, and resolved beautifully. It's understanding your market. It's having different types of conversations with your market about identifying a need and resolving that. And creating experiences, really meaningful experiences as well. So we knew there was a need. So Catherine talked about identifying a need. Like, there is a huge need for design in Ireland, but not everybody quite understands the value behind that. So why pick design? It definitely increases turnover. You'll see it in really successful companies. Increases your market share, differentiates from the competition, and engages people. It enables your target market to be your campaign. So something else about Mind Over Matter, we had no staff. Everybody had full-time jobs. Everybody had families. Nobody gave full-time hours. There was a 2-week holiday for me as part of that, which was, I will say, fun. And 120% of volunteers. So when I say the 20%, it was my daughters actually packing boxes, so there's a bit of child labour in there too. We had no event experience, no event organiser, and no professional PR support. So we had 3 key phases in Mind Over Matter. We had the build phase, designer engagement, and business engagement. In the build phase, obviously, it was getting the right people in the right places, hopefully, and building out the website, learning on our issues in our first year. So I'm basically concentrating on our second year in this presentation. And then the other challenge, and it was a massive challenge, we had 2 audiences. We had designers and we had businesses. We had to have 2 different types of conversations. So money is a really dirty word, but really, like in any event, you need a little bit of money to make it happen. And I'll count this as almost seed money. And again, it's connections. So I basically, I would say, blackmailed my husband to give us our first lump of money. And once we had that, we could say, right, this company's on board. So then it all became much easier. And we had 1 Dublin launch. So this was a key launch, because if you don't have the designers, how do you build the rest of the event out? We fudged it a little bit. We actually sold these people to potential sponsors without them actually 100% agreeing that they were going to be there. But, build it and they will come. And thankfully enough, we got 3 out of the 4. And we'll play a little bit of a video here.
Well, when I read the alarming statistic that creatives are more likely to suffer from mental health issues, I completely related to that.
And Mind Over Matter is about taking a moment to remind yourself, are you okay? And knowing that it's okay to not be okay.
I think if I had a piece of advice to somebody who's struggling with their mental health, it would be to talk.
We all struggle from different times in life, and I suppose one of the great things about Mind Over Matter is it's opening up the conversation about mental health and signposting people to Aware that might be struggling and highlighting Aware's free services.
You are not alone. Speak to somebody.
So we were really lucky with that. The stars again aligned for us in many ways. So then we had designers. We had more designers than we needed, so we had to streamline just because logistically we could not cope. So we started building out the website, and we really wanted to engage the designers and make them own this initiative. It was their campaign. So we had another series of launches, because this is when we had to change the conversation. We had to get the businesses engaged. So we had 1 website that was first aimed at designers to get the designers signed up, and then it changed gear to sign up the businesses. So we had a number of launches around the country, and we basically enabled the speakers as our campaign mechanism. We branded the hell out of these people. So we tried to get key business leaders in those regions and have these business people as our ambassadors for the project. So we're really blessed with a couple. Richard's there as well, and Sean Gallagher actually opened up the Dublin event, and the Dublin event was the day after he came out as a presidential nominee. So we're really nervous that he wouldn't turn up, but he did. And then there's a few others there all around the country, and each event had 1 designer as well, and we made each designer, who was actually the venue manager for that region, the design ambassador for their county. So this is the one of the business launches.
Design is really important to business, as it permeates every single part of business.
It's about branding, it's about image, it's about your personality, it's more importantly about what you stand for.
Design is at the heart of everything that we do in Chealing Whiskey, expressing who we are as a brand and as we are as a company.
Great design can help create great brands, and great brands allow consumers to understand clearly what your business is all about.
It's at the heart of the evolution of a business, and the workshops which have been launched today are an integral part of the development of those businesses. I'd actively encourage businesses to participate in those workshops to get the most out of them.
I really hope you're enjoying the background music, because we could only afford 1 track, so it's on every video. So this was our campaign, and it was completely network driven. So we had this massive body of people in the designer group, and we gave them the tools and the media that they needed to push out this initiative. We also relied on our steering group very heavily with their connections and contacts, partners as well. So we reached out to Leo's, to the business groups, private business groups, public business groups, suppliers as well. So anybody that we actually paid for any services, a part of that contract was they had to push out this campaign. Sponsors as well acted as a medium, advocates. So we had, you know, the VIPs on Twitter and Facebook that were getting behind it. Venues as well. So we had those key venues. So they were actively promoting it as well to their base. Speakers, again, as I mentioned before, from the business launches, they continued to push the campaign after the event. And obviously clients, any businesses that booked, we gave them the option to push it, and then we actively asked them as well in communications, please share, please share. So there was a question earlier on about asking. I got really good at asking people for things. So we had all the designers signed up, so we talked about building experiences, but it was quite overwhelming for people to choose because we have all of these great designers, and how do you choose? Because especially if you're not, if you don't know what you want. So we had designed this little pop-up, do you need help? And then we got about 100 requests on that in a couple of weeks, which is brilliant. And that was, you know, 11, 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning responding. And you'd actually have conversations with people online. I can't believe you're still up doing this. I'm like, yeah, no problem. We've got millions of staff on this. It's like, so, and we gave every designer a dedicated page. So again, they owned the campaign. So when you linked back to a designer, it was their face on the campaign. And this is only a quarter of the designers that we had involved, and it really permeated. And I don't know if you can see my favorite, but somebody put their side profile picture at the bottom left-hand corner almost, and that was my favorite picture anyway that was used. And I can't remember his name. He's just a guy with a beard. Do you see him? Yeah. Because you give designers a bit of material, and you won't actually understand how many different variants there was of this knocking around. So again, sponsorship driven. We didn't have a lot of cash, but we heavily relied on benefit in kind sponsorship. We had a lot of people in the creative community that helped us kind of drive this. Richards D was the first ask. So we needed our brand to be overhauled, and they created every piece of material for us. So think about pop-up, think about print, think about anything on social that was static. Richards D created it, and it was massive. They're amazing. You probably know them well. Oh, yeah, I know, I did those. But I used their brand guideline, so it was totally them. And then Headcase, so again, when you ask, we wanted to do something disruptive in every venue. So in Dublin, we wanted to paint a mural, and really inspired by Savita wall. So I actually rang up and I was like, who did the Savita wall to the Bernard Shaw? And they were like, Headcase Marketing. So rang Headcase Marketing, and they were like, well, this is what we're doing. We'd love to do a wall. We don't have any money. And they were like, okay, that's no problem. And they did this. So Andrew, the CEO, had a very small team, but he was just a wonderful driving force. So we actually invited him to become part of the steering group from that day forward, and he gave us some valuable advice. So when you get somebody like that that's willing to back you, invite them in. And then PD Visuals, this is Ireland's largest large format printer. They agreed to print everything. So everything that Richards D created, they printed. So anything from pop-ups to all the brochures, they were just incredible. Fora as well, we managed to wangle an advertising campaign from them worth 10K, which was really cool. So we got on their website and the journal, and also on their weekly newsletters for a month. So again, we were trying to get in front of that business audience. It's still going, where everybody's going to really appreciate this because lots of good people did work. So, and then Windmill Lane, if you don't know them, they're a production company and they're fantastic. And again, John was actually the first guy I approached to come onto the steering committee. And they produced motion
Improve
graphics for us.
performance, reduce costs and increase value. Grow your business with design. One day only, October 10th with Mind Over Matter. Ireland's top creative professionals are donating their time in aid of mental health awareness. Design works. Make it work for your business. Book your consultation at idimindovermatter.ie.
And they actually recorded our radio campaigns. So the little bit of money we did have, we got a charity rate to do a national radio campaign and recorded local radio campaigns. So we didn't have any money for the local campaigns, but we just had them in the bag. And then Andrew Boyd displays. So you get these people that sometimes, again, I talked about the stars aligning, that just appear, and he saw the material on social media, said, really like what you're doing, we'd love to support. So we got 10 billboards around the country. Only managed to photograph 4 because we didn't have the time to go and find them. There's still some we haven't seen, but this was phenomenal. And then Tiny Arc as well was a videographer who, again, kind of came out of nowhere and said, yeah, we'll capture everything. So every video you've just seen is being produced by Tiny Arc. So that was mind-blowing for us, because if anybody knows anything, video is completely key for social. And we're going to listen to Jack for a second.
Design is at the heart of everything that we do in Cheating Whiskey, from the functional benefits of the differentiated liquids to the look and feel of bringing our brand to life and really expressing who we are as a brand and as we are as a company. It's made us who we are in Cheating Whiskey, and it will be core to everything we do in the future as well.
So this presentation would be really long if I mentioned all of the sponsors that we had, but we had an immense amount of local sponsorship as well. That was completely critical to the development of Mind Over Matter. Karen Price I still haven't met her, but she's like an angel, and I really hope to meet her soon. So she rang me up and wanted to be a designer in the day, and she actually works for News Ireland, and this was about 3 weeks out. It's like, oh, it's a bit late because everybody's been promoting themselves for 3 weeks. But if you want to come on board the voluntary group, no problem. And she didn't really have that much time. She was like, oh, look, I'll see what we can do in work. And I didn't really make 2 and 2. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. But then she came with sponsorship from the Times, the Sunday Times, radio campaigns nationally. And she's like, do you have a radio ad? And I was like, actually, we do. We have lots of our little national radio ads. I'll just send them to you. And she's like, yeah, do send them all. And they went, she got at least, I'd say, about 50K's worth of coverage for us, which was mind-blowing. So thanks, Karen, wherever you are. So promotion. So what we try to do as well is phone, stalk, annoy people into covering Mind Over Matter for us is all you can do. So we managed to blag our way onto the Elaine show. This was really cool. So we did a laser show in Carlow on the Bronze site. So Sean Gallagher owns a site in Carlow. So I asked him at the launch, could we use the Bronze site? He was like, yeah, no problem. We needed a cherry picker for the projector. I knew my mother-in-law had a friend who owned a cherry picker. I call cherry picker, but like scissor lifts. Officially. So we borrowed cherry picker for a few weeks, and we ran this laser show in Carlow to promote the initiative. So ask is the moral of the story. We were lucky enough to get on Bobby Carr, some regional radio. We got a 2-page spread, which is a massive surprise in the Retail Times. We had ads, we had chamber magazines. So I actually made it into the Electric Picnic there in the bottom right. So I've never been, I've always wanted to go to Electric Picnic, but at least I made it in a newspaper. So it was great. And then again, Sean Gallagher, the timing was perfect. He attracted a lot of press because they used those photographs, because he actually started his campaign then as president the day before. And then, this might make me look wonderful, but I couldn't have done this without these people. These are all the venue managers and the volunteers on the day. And there's still a few people that aren't on this because they wouldn't send me a picture, and they don't do Facebook, and it's just impossible to get the picture. So we're missing 2 key people there, but these are the real heroes of the hour. They committed a huge amount of hours, and it's a massive team and community effort. So before I leave you, I have one last video to show you, but we have one more event next week in Startup Week. Catherine Mannon's is working on it with me. It's a very small community in the design world, and it's a table quiz in Intercom. So if you're interested in startups, please grab a ticket. It's free. You donate what you can to Aware. It should be a bit of fun. And this is the last video. Thank you.
We're really, really happy to support Mind Over Matter, because encouraging designers and supporting them is something that really has to be done.
Getting a bunch of creative minds to really explore a challenge or a problem that you have and work through it in a real collaborative way. So definitely we'll be back.
I'm here today with Aware and the Institute of Designers in Ireland, meeting loads of brilliant, amazing young businesses and brands who are starting out on their journey and want to develop further.
Mind Over Matter was the perfect way for me to give back and also benefit as a business by getting a consultation by an industry expert. I would definitely take part again next year. It's such a great idea and definitely something I would recommend to a friend as well.
It's been absolutely huge success this year. We think we've raised well in excess of 23,000, which is absolutely unbelievable. And that goes all towards Aware's free mental health services.
I met the wonderful Mary Doherty of Red Dog Design, and I really appreciated her frankness and very straight talk. And yeah, it was just great even to kind of network and meet people.
We are absolutely delighted that nearly 200 designers gave over 1,500 hours in aid of mental health awareness in support of mental health charity Aware.